85, the deep ball for Darius Prince, and Philadelphia's on the board first. On the draw, this is Grayson Allen. And Allen weaving his way all the way down to the 22. 10-yard line, 5. Mayfield, dancing all around. Throwing as far as he can throw it. Jump ball coming. Crazy stuff. Not this time.
And you want to be a wide receiver. You're going to have to take a little bit of a hit like that as Brown got him in that shoulder, but watch. Those are teeth.
Do we have a dentist on staff here?
All right, so if you're joining us this morning, as you can see, I'm joined by Kevin Chism, the wide receiver / kick returner from the Rapid City Marshals last season. This man next to me put up almost 700 yards from scrimmage last season as a kick returner and wide receiver like I spoke about. Kevin, so excited to have you on here this morning. How are you doing today?
I appreciate you, Sam. Good, man. Good to hear from you. I'm glad we finally caught up.
Absolutely. This has been a long time coming. For anybody who's watching right now, Kevin and I have talked off camera for probably about a year, almost 2 at this point. Connected probably, I want to say late 2022. Been talking ever since. As far as I'm concerned, one of my guys, one of my friends in this world. So definitely excited to get him on today and tell a little bit about his story. So. Let's go ahead and jump into this. I mean, we talked about it a little bit off camera. You got off to a great start last season, kind of had to deal with some trials and tribulations there in Rapid City with a bunch of turnover as the season progressed. How were you able to find success despite the fact that there were so many moving pieces and kind of changes around you last season?
Honestly, I was just trying to stay focused on myself. It's a lot of people coming in and out. I probably had about 4 different roommates. So, I mean, just trying to focus on myself and not really worrying about who's going to be the next quarterback that comes in, who's throwing. I mean, obviously that stuff is important to me as a receiver, but I never let it just take over my whole mindset during my arena career. But yeah, just focusing on myself, just staying in the weight room and film and all of that.
Absolutely. So obviously we saw some rather big changes in the arena football world this year. We kind of saw the CIF more or less kind of dissolve and end up, some teams joined the National Arena League, some teams joined the AFL. What was your initial reaction when you saw everything kind of occur like it did, given the fact that you've played in the CIF for the past couple seasons?
Oh, man, I didn't know what to think. I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of teams going to different leagues. It wasn't like the complete CIF went one way. It was kind of torn apart. So it really just prompted me to do a whole lot of more research. And obviously we have the teams like Omaha that they're not going nowhere. No matter where they play, they're going to play like me and you talked about. But yeah, it was just like doing a lot of research, seeing where teams are going, what leagues they're going to, are they credible leagues? Stuff like that. Just trying to stay on top of that. So I don't end up in a bad situation because like me and you talked about, I was in a pretty bad situation in St. Louis.
100%. So let's get into that a little bit. You said you started with the St. Louis, or not started, but you started the 2022 season with St. Louis, and they kind of ran into some money issues. You were only able to play a few games there, and then ultimately jumped over to the CIF. How tough is it for a player in your potential or your situation in particular, in which you're trying to, keep your career going, find a stable home, and you have to kind of worry about the team that you're working for at that time staying afloat?
Oh man, it's kind of tough. But like I said before, I just try to worry about myself. But you're just doing a lot of research and seeing where I fit in with certain teams, and again, if they're credible. I mean, it just, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, man. Like just doing a lot of due diligence and seeing if I do go to this place, will I fit in, or seeing their track record with players like me. Like, do they like only the tallest guys? You know, a lot of stuff is political too. A lot of that.
100%. Sometimes it's a lot about who you know and not what you know necessarily,
Yeah.
or what you can do. Which, sometimes that can be a good thing. Sometimes that can be a bad thing. If
Exactly.
you develop that connection with the coach, chances
True.
are you're in good shape. So
Yeah. As soon as I actually entered the league, I learned that. I found it out the hard way. But also, like you said, it worked for me too. Like once I started actually making connections and linking up with coaches, and now I know coaches that are in the IFL, certain teams, like kind of opens the door for you a little bit more. So yeah, that's true. Like
100%.
it's very political. Very.
Who are some coaches that you kind of built that connection with that you would consider, close to this day?
One of them, my favorites, Pat Pimmel. Pat Pimmel, that's my guy right there. And I hope he's watching this. If not, I'm gonna send this to him. But yeah, that's my guy. I met him in what was that? Wyoming. He was my receivers coach, and we've been tight ever since. We actually found out that we're both actually from Florissant, Missouri, which is like 1,000 miles from where we are right now, or where we were at the moment in Wyoming. So that was just kind of more of a reason for us to just be tight knit. Both from Florissant, Missouri.
That's awesome. Pat Pimmel is one of our favorite coaches here at Shady Sports, as everybody knows. Been on a couple times. We actually connected with him before last season because of the beef, and then everything went down there, and he ended up floating around. Kind of stayed in touch with him, and now he was just named the head coach of the Philadelphia Soul, I believe, just yesterday. So,
oh, what? I didn't even know that. I had
so definitely want to be blowing up his phone over the next couple days. Get yourself a spot there in Philadelphia. That ownership group looks really promising, and I think that's probably a big reason why he made the jump. I know he was very skeptical about the AFL at first, given that he had a nice cushy job in Duke City with the IFL. But I guess I guess one of those unicorns came around and kind of wooed him to the AFL. So it's definitely exciting to see. Congratulations to Coach Pimmel, and hopefully that works out in your favor as well, given the connection that you have with him.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely excited about that. I had no idea, so I'm sure I'll be hearing from him.
Hopefully, man. Well, I'll definitely make sure to shoot him a message right after we get off here and get in his ear a little bit. He's definitely been pretty cool about taking suggestions and stuff like that when it comes to players. So I'll definitely have to put in my 2 cents. Not that he needs it by any
Yeah,
stretch.
definitely appreciate it. He's one coach that's always gave me my flowers. Like whether he was on the opposing side of the opposing team or whatever, he's always giving me my flowers. And yeah, I love that guy, man.
That's awesome. So this seems like a perfectly good time to play some highlights. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up your, I believe, 2022 highlights, if I'm not mistaken. You can let me know for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Dada. Dada.
Sorry about that. I got a little munchkin floating around back here. He's asking all kinds of questions and stuff. So let's get back to last season a little bit. We spoke about the fact that you had so many changes around you. I want to say you played with no less than 4 quarterbacks, if my math is correct there.
Yeah, it was at least 4.
I was going to say, including, I can't remember right off the top of my head, but there was a wide receiver that played some quarterback there for a minute.
Yep, I was in there just threw it right now. Waheem Bird.
There you go, man. I can't believe I forgot his name. So sorry, Waheem. I don't hate me for that. I should have known your name. Should have definitely remembered that. But definitely an interesting situation from a wide receiver's perspective. I mean, going into each week, how did you keep your motivation and your mindset on point, despite the fact that you knew you could be catching passes from a different player literally every week?
Honestly, I try to just stay consistent. Like I know that some weeks I might have a receiver throwing to me, so I got to make sure everything is done the same way. If I'm running a certain route, it's got to be at the same depth, so that way, in his mind, he can get used to me quicker. That's one thing I've kind of always had success with is consistency with quarterbacks and them figuring out my speed and where I'm gonna be at pretty quickly. Usually it takes quarterbacks a while to get used to receivers, but I think I'm one of those receivers that that quarterbacks can adapt to pretty quickly. And as you can see from the stats, probably more than half of my touchdowns came from not quarterbacks, but from wide receivers throwing me the ball. And that's even including last year when we had Demetrius Davis. He actually threw me my first professional touchdown over the wall from a receiver. So honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I've had a lot more success actually from receivers throwing me the ball. I don't know why. I mean, but again, we haven't had a lot of quarterbacks that stay around long, so we've always kind of been in that bind where I have to have somebody come from receiver and go in that quarterback spot. But I'm really excited to see what I can do with the actual quarterback, a seasoned vet at that, not just a quarterback. I think it'll definitely take off.
Hopefully we can make that happen this season. Definitely excited to see where you land for sure. I mean, let's kind of talk about the 2024 season. I mean, you're coming off a pretty electric season last year. You had 28 receptions for a little over 300 yards, 6 touchdowns on offense, and you had another 380 some yards on the kick return game as well. You know, basically you were a true dual threat, you know, giving them your top, or basically their top wide receiver on offense and their top kick returner on special teams. So, I mean, heading into 2024, are there any teams that you've talked to as of yet? Any teams you're considering as of yet? Or are you just kind of sitting back, waiting things out at the moment?
Oh, it's been kind of quiet right now, but I know this is recruiting season, so it's about to pick up like pretty heavily. And usually CIF starts a little bit earlier, but we don't have the CIF this year, so teams are kind of taking their times with their signing. Certain teams, some teams are already fully loaded, they got everybody, but a lot of teams I'm noticing they're not really recruiting as fast that they usually do around this time. But it's kind of good at the same time because I'm not trying to rush into nothing right now. I'm still doing my research. I'm still like just now finding out that the AFL does have some really good owners, because I was really skeptical on that at first. Like I wanted to play, like the AFL's big name and, you know, more money obviously, but I wanted to make sure I was going to be in a good situation with a team that's going to actually finish out, because this was actually my first season plan of complete season with one team. Like, as we talked before, I have been with some organizations that fold because of money and this, that, and the third. But Rapid City, I don't think they're going anywhere. So I am open to come back as long as everything lines up, you know, A, B, and C. But yeah, I'm pretty much open to go. I'm not going to say anywhere, but as long as they have a legit ownership group and a little bit of track record behind them.
Absolutely. How has your view on things like that kind of changed as you've gone in your career? I imagine when you were a rookie, you know, it was you know, whatever opportunity came your way, you were going to consider it. Now you're you're a little bit more seasoned. You've been through the ringer a couple times. You've been through some bad situations, some good situations. So how has your views on who you'll sign with changed over the years?
Yeah, pretty much exactly like you said. When I first came into the game and figure out, I can get paid every single game, I'll pretty much go anywhere. But now it's you find out real quick it's not worth it, because yeah, you'll get paid, but if you're at the wrong organization, you might only get paid for 3 weeks and then the whole team is gone. You know, I've been through that. So now I'm not so greedy to just get out there. I can wait until I find the right situation and make sure all the ducks line up in a row, not in a rush for anything. I know what I can do. Just with age, it's just a little bit less patience as well too, as far as like how much I'll take. Like, I'm not just gonna, like I told you before, that second year with the St. Louis team when they weren't really playing and they were pushing dates further and further, the old me probably would have waited it out because I want to play so bad and this, that. But now I don't really have time. Like, is it a legit team or not? Like, are you going to play a full season or not? That's what I need to know. Like, because other than that, I'm not going to travel halfway across the country for a week or two playing, you know, and then the team folds. But right now, everything seems to be panning out pretty good. The AFL seems to have some pretty good organizations. NAL, also another one that's pretty good. And obviously the IFL. which is where I ultimately want to be.
That's 100% acceptable. I mean, the IFL is probably the top league as of right now, and even with the AFL coming back, I'm a huge AFL supporter. You can literally go see like the 11 different interviews we've done with head coaches so far on the channel. But the IFL right now is the big boy, and if anybody else is going to knock them off, they got a lot of work to do for sure.
Oh yeah,
So definitely going to be interesting 2024, because I don't think any league has quite challenged the IFL since the closure of the AFL in 2019, like the AFL will this season. So it's definitely going to be interesting to kind of see how that all works out. But out of curiosity, you said traveling, halfway across the country to play football. Where do you call home?
St. Louis. I know when you spoke, I said I'm from Florissant, but it's literally 5 minutes. It's still all St. Louis. St. Louis, Missouri. That's where I call home.
Absolutely. So there were some rumors, some thoughts that St. Louis might get a team back, and then you guys also got the Ozarks Lunkers down there. What were your thoughts on the fact that the AFL might be bringing a team to St. Louis?
Honestly, everything went back to my last 2 years trying to play home when the teams folded. So I'm not really a big fan of playing in St. Louis right now. I would love to. I'm here. Like my first game that we did play home, I had like 35 people in the stands that were there just for me, like family members and former teammates and stuff. Like, but it sounds really good. But right now, I'm not too sold on St. Louis right now, because we have our history of indoor teams is pretty much like 1 and done, 2 and done, and I just want to go somewhere a little bit more a little bit more seasoned. It's been around.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, like we spoke about before, sometimes the opportunity you get is more important than getting an opportunity in general. You have to kind of do a little bit of research on your employer there and check into that team. Real quick, if you're watching, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe. Make sure to help us keep growing and push this interview out to more people so Kevin can get in front of some more eyes out there for sure. Always look forward to helping these guys out. Got a comment here. Krish Via says AFL. Well, Krish, you got a lot of connections just like I do. Better start beating the streets and get Kevin here a contract. Something tells me you could do it, and by the end of this interview, if you really wanted to be honest.
Yeah.
But he also asks, would you entertain overseas?
Overseas, I've had some contracts offered overseas, but no, not at this point. Maybe if I was like in my early 20s or something, but right now I'm just it's a little too far for me.
That's completely fair. Definitely fair.
And I also don't like airplanes.
Hey, you're not alone. I am not an airplane person myself, so don't worry there. That not fun.
I was looking at a team in Ukraine that had offered me. I'm like, and honestly, this was right when all of that stuff was going on, like the war and stuff. So it was already a no because of that. But then I looked up the flight, and I think it said like 28 hours. I was like, oh no, oh no, flying over water and all of that just scares the crap out of me, man.
Oh, good. I'm not the only one. That's good to know, because I'm the same way, man. Cannot fly over water. Makes me all uncomfortable.
Yeah,
don't get it. No, thank you. Especially 28 hours.
Yeah.
No, thank you, man. I can't even imagine, especially going over there at that particular time. That would have been tough.
Oh yeah.
So obviously, a couple of years ago, COVID kind of ripped through the world. I'm curious, how did it affect your career in particular? I know you were playing professional ball at that point. So did it slow you down? Did it kind of help you out? Kind of give me that whole rundown.
COVID, that was 2020, right? No, that was 2021. So yeah, I had just started playing professional for the first time with the team in St. Louis. But like I said, we only played 3 games and folded. But as far as COVID, it kind of forced me to not really like, we were on lockdown in St. Louis, so we couldn't really do a lot. So it forced me to just stay in the house and just lift and get better, stay in the backyard and work on my footwork. I got a jug machine, so I was always on that, constantly catching at least 100 balls a day. So it really got me just more on my game and not having to travel so far to train. I was just training at home. but it locked me in for sure. Locked me in.
I'm curious, how did you get a jugs machine?
Oh man, I saved up. So the year before I was working DoorDash, and I literally worked DoorDash for like a month straight, like just for this machine, and just bought it straight from the website. As soon as I got the money, I think it was about like $2,500, but I bought it. I had to get it.
Okay, let's talk about some dedication here. Basically, $2,500 is more or less what you made playing in the CIF last season, right?
Yep, probably.
Man, you want a player that has a dedication to getting better. He literally invested a year's salary, more or less, in getting this machine so he could consistently practice. And man, that's impressive. Like, I have to give it up to you. There's not a whole lot of receivers I've talked to on this channel that have done that. I mean, they maybe might have done that, in the future, but that's impressive, man. Like, honestly, I was not expecting you to say that you owned a jugs machine. So
Yeah, appreciate it.
I can imagine that came in handy when you had to social distance and couldn't have a quarterback there to throw you passes.
For sure, man, for sure. And it's so tough getting a quarterback here. I've just now been meeting like more people, like when I go to different training sessions. So now I got a lot of quarterbacks I can throw to. Like one of the most notable ones might be a guy named Mike Glass, played Massachusetts Pirates in the CFL right now. So now we're pretty much locked in. We're throwing all the time. But before that, I literally had nobody. Like, I'm only child, so I don't have a brother to throw the ball to me. Everybody else is always working or something. So now, like, I got my jug machine. I'll just have my girlfriend just put it on there and just push it through, and we'll get it in.
There you go. I'm curious, how close are you to Missouri Baptist University?
It's probably about 15 minutes away. 15 minutes. It's crazy. I almost went there.
That's funny. I got a buddy who's a coach there. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What'd you say?
Yeah, I actually almost went there. I went to I was in camp for probably a week. It was a week into fall camp. It was just starting. I was enrolled in school, and then they told me that I had ran out of semesters, so I was gonna be ineligible. This is like right when the season's about to start. So that was literally the end of my college career right there.
Oh wow! Well,
semesters around the time. So.
Dang, I didn't know that. That's kind of funny. I do have a buddy that works down there as far as a coach, so maybe we could hook you up with a quarterback to work out. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Definitely interested to see exactly where you end up in 2024. I mean, we talked about it a little bit. You've kind of been around. You've had some connections. You're hopefully we're going to work with and whatnot. But definitely excited to see it. But I wanted to talk about some of your strengths and weaknesses in the game. We were watching your highlights just a moment ago. One thing that always sticks out to me when I watch your game is your route running. Who are some of the wide receivers that you kind of look to learn tips and tricks as far as the route running goes?
Oh yeah, I really pride myself on my route running because I'm not the biggest receiver. I'm not going to run through you. I can, but that's not like my go-to move. But so I kind of got to have finesse with the way I move. So I look up. I love Tyreek Hill as far as his speed and quickness. He hasn't always been like a route runner, but if you look at him now, you can tell the past like 2 years he's really been honing in on that. His whole route running style has changed. But number one, the main person I was watching as far as routes and releases, Devontae Adams. Like, he's just unmatched. Like, you cannot touch him at the line, and it always wows me. Like, I'll literally play his stuff in slow motion and just try to mimic it and see what he's thinking. Sometimes I'm on YouTube for an hour just looking at his videos and him just talking about his route running and just seeing his train of thought and just stuff like that, man. Try to mimic the best so I can be the best.
Yeah, I was going to say 100% Adams is probably the best route runner in the league right now. So definitely worse mentors to have for sure. But definitely it can be seen. I mean, you watch your tape and you were literally shaking guys right out of their shoes a couple times there, and they're just lost in coverage. So I can imagine that makes it super easy on your quarterbacks or wide receivers, I guess, to throw you the ball. Yeah. But definitely kind of crazy to see. I mean, I could definitely see a little bit of Tyreek Hill, a little bit of Devontae Adams in your game for sure. Obviously, one of the things that you bring to a team as well is your special teams play. I mean, last season, you were pretty electric in the kick return game. I've always been fascinated with this side of the game because there's guys that will go back there and do it, and you can tell it's not natural for them. But then there's guys that go back and return kicks, and they just seem to have an innate ability to find a lane in the coverage. And you're one of those guys. I mean, every time you get the ball in your hand on kick return unit, you guys better watch because there's a chance you're taking it to the house.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it several times last season. You'd have a long return. I don't believe statistically you got a touchdown. I want to say you ended up in the end zone a couple times, but did one maybe get called back or something like that?
No, I didn't make it. I almost did, but it was always like 2 or 3 guys that were just like untouched, and they would get to me. But for the most part, if I see the hole, yeah, you're right. I was trying to get through it, but it was always just like 1 or 2 guys like right there. And 1 or 2 guys in indoor is like 4. Like it's not that much space to go anywhere. So everybody pretty much got to have a block. And
100%.
leave me with like a one-on-one. I win that most of the time. 2, 3 guys in indoors, kind of tough.
100%. And just for anybody watching, he had a 15-yard average on kick returns, which doesn't sound like much when you're coming from the outside game. But when you consider the fact that you're on a 50-yard field and he's taking you a third of the field already every single kick return, that's pretty good for the offense. So definitely keep that in mind in the back of your head if you're watching this and you're looking for a wide receiver or a kick returner. Kevin's definitely your guy. Couple more things. I mean, obviously, everybody's goal is ultimately return back outside. Obviously, you've got some skills that we haven't talked about quite yet. I'm curious, would you be able to like return punts, stuff like that?
Yeah, I used to return punts in college, and I'm kind of glad they don't have punts in the arena because it doesn't make sense. It's a small field. You probably get blasted back there trying to return something, but yeah, punt return and kick return. That's probably bad. I love it.
Definitely. So I actually learned something about you, which I was kind of not expecting coming into this, but you said you actually started on defense and then kind of transitioned to wide receiver. So you're perfect fit for the AFL that's playing Iron Man ball right now. But I'm curious, how did that transition happen? I mean, who ultimately came up to you and said, you know what, I want you on offense. You're too explosive, or what? How did that conversation go?
It goes all the way back to high school. So I was initially a corner from probably freshman year all the way to senior year. That's when I started playing receiver. I didn't start playing receiver until I was in 12th grade. And it was natural. It was just natural to me. I was like, route running was pretty good, but just the whole position as a whole was natural. So from there, after I graduated, I went to a college, and they immediately moved me back to DB. And literally every year I played from college, it would flip back. So I was DB freshman year, redshirt freshman year. Then my actual freshman year, they moved me to receiver. Then my sophomore year, I went to another school. They moved me back to DB. It's just a lot of back and forth. So I've always been right at home playing both. But I decided to lock in on receiver like probably the last year or 2. But I could easily transform right back. Like it's nothing.
What made you choose wide receiver overall? Is it just having the ball in your hands?
Yeah, it's more exciting, honestly. Like you don't really see a whole lot from DBs as far as like from a fan standpoint, you don't really notice when they're doing really good because the ball won't go to the receiver, when they lock them up. But it's just glory from the receivers, and I honestly do like the position as a whole. Like I feel like I'm contributing a little bit more, honestly. Or obviously, like when you're scoring and stuff, contributing more.
That makes perfect sense. I could definitely see that for sure. So obviously, when I ask this next question, I probably know your answer, but you'd much rather catch a long touchdown pass than lock down an opposing receiver all game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm trying to bomb them every time, take them deep.
That makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
Nothing like that feeling, man, when it's just that long ball right over the top. Nothing compares to that. You can have the same play from defense and swat it away, but it's nothing compared to when you actually catch that ball and the whole arena is going crazy and the lights flashing. It's just a different experience, man. You can't take it from nobody.
Absolutely. And when you talk about the indoor game in particular, wide receiver might be one of the most exciting positions for fans, like you spoke about. I mean, you always see these circus catches. In fact, if you look at the thumbnail, the catch that I have you doing is the one where you caught it over the wall and the defender's like trying to leap over the wall with you, and you're basically laying in the crowd with the ball over your head. I mean, you come to the indoor game and there's catches that literally should be in the circus sometimes. I mean, it is unreal to watch. So talk to me a little bit about that mentality. I mean, I can imagine coming into indoor football, it's totally different than when you play outdoor and, in the college level, here you don't have walls outdoor, how would you mentally prepare for the fact that at any given moment, you could go up to get a pass and go flying over the wall?
Oh man, using my peripherals, that's number one. I gotta know where I'm at and what's around me, because if you ask anybody that plays arena or that's at least played a year, they'll tell you that it's a saying where the wall is undefeated. Like, you're not gonna beat that wall. It's gonna get you every time. So might as well go over it. So it takes me back to that first pass that you was talking about on that thumbnail. I hadn't scored yet that season. I had just joined the team, and I just knew I had to have it. Like, no matter what happens, I got to get this ball. Like, I don't have a touchdown yet. So my whole train of thought was just different. Like, no matter where I land, I'm going to get this ball. I'm going to jump over this wall and I'm going to get it. And how I land is how I land, but I'm going to end up with this. But yeah, and before every game too, I like to fill out the walls. Like, it might sound crazy, but I'm literally like slamming my shoulder into it, like in place, just to see how soft it is. Because every arena is different. Some cushions are big, some are small. Luckily in Rapid City, ours, it won't even hurt if you run into it. It might look like it, but it doesn't hurt. But everywhere is different. I'm always just filling out the arena. Sometimes the floors are different. Filling out everything. I know how to maneuver and what I can do. Stuff like that.
Hey, that's interesting. I didn't think about that, but you're right. I mean, when you really look at the different arenas that you guys played in last season or seasons prior, there were a lot of differences in between the different arenas. So honestly, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's a tip that I feel everybody should take from this. If you're a young wide receiver in the indoor world, I mean, you might want to, start doing that yourself, because honestly, I can imagine that truly affects your game in particular quite a bit, especially if, you are going up to get a pass and it's into a wall that has very little padding on it, or you want to be prepared for that, I imagine.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around trying to leap over a 3-foot wall, catch a pass, and know that you're probably either landing in the crowd or on concrete. Like,
yeah,
I don't know that I have it
on the other side. Like,
that's a whole different mindset. I mean, there's a reason why I like indoor football so much, and quite honestly, I think stuff like that is why. I mean, these guys, at the end of the day, I mean, not to speak for you, but you guys, most of you have jobs outside of here. So not only are you going over that wall to catch that pass, but you have to do it within the back of your mind knowing, I got to wake up on Monday morning to go to work and still, be productive there, and then turn around and practice all week long and all that stuff. So
exactly.
I feel like indoor football in some of these leagues are kind of like blue collar football in my mind. Like, you guys are very much normal, everyday people still trying to, chase your dreams, which I can always identify with. Obviously, we're here for a reason.
Yeah.
But definitely always admired determination that it takes to play indoor football. So just from the bottom of my heart, man, thank you for putting your body on the line to entertain us as fans, because honestly, I don't think that gets said enough to you players and guys that really, truly can suffer some catastrophic or horrific injuries.
Yeah.
But go out there every day and do it for the love, because at the end of the day, none of you guys are getting rich off this, like we just spoke about. So, just really, like, honestly, as a fan, as a dude who loves to watch the game, I really wanted to thank you and thank every player who's watching this or might catch this interview who I haven't told thank you already. I think that definitely needs to be said a little bit more from fans, because the indoor game is a different breed. You guys will sign whatever, wherever, all the time. You guys are constantly taking photos with kids. That's very family oriented. So that's something that I think needs to be said as well. You guys do a great job to bring families and make it an immersive experience for everybody. So,
thanks, man. Appreciate it for sure.
Absolutely. So before we get out of here, I've kind of taken about a half hour of your time. Are there any final thoughts? Anything you wanted to get out there for prospective teams or anybody watching right now?
Right now, I'm not really ready to sign a contract at this very moment, but I am open. I'm very open to talking to some teams and just figuring out what they got going on right now. Not really trying to rush anything at this very moment, because I'm still kind of doing my research, but I got a pretty good idea of the teams that's gonna play and the ones that's not. ones that's not going to make it all the way through.
Absolutely. I would definitely agree. If anybody's got a good idea, I have a feeling it's probably you. Definitely good words of wisdom to live by there. If you're going to be playing indoor football, make sure you research your employer. You just never know.
Yeah, you always got to know who you're working for, man.
Exactly. And that actually goes for any job.
Yeah,
you should research every employer, to be quite honest. But thank you so much for your time, Kevin. I really appreciate it. Is there anybody you want to shout out before we get out of here?
My boy Mike Glass, Kid Sutherland. He was with us for a few games last year. That's my boy. He's actually from here. Me and him, that's pretty much my training buddy. It's usually me and him, but he's a receiver, so it goes back to I can't have him throwing me the ball. So we work on a little stuff together. But yeah, him, my mother, she supports me in everything I do. My father supports me in everything I do. My girl, but most of all, the Most High, man. Without him, I don't know what I'd be doing right now. If my body as good as it is at the age of 31, like I feel perfectly fine. But that's the stuff I pray about every day, and just comes into reality.
100%. Well, once again, man, I really appreciate your time here. I appreciate you living through the background noise with me. My kid's definitely an early riser lately, so definitely was trying to get this busted out before he woke up. But he woke up right as we were about to come on, so you gotta love that. But definitely for anybody watching, make sure you tune in next to the Niners Nuts podcast. They have a special one-time interview today with the head of the Duval chapter of the 49ers fan club. So they will be interviewing her today. That's going live right now, if it's not already live. And definitely tune in for that. And then we got a couple other shows later on today with AFL head coaches. We get J.R. Wells from the Washington Wolfpack at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. And then we also have James Shiver from Louisiana Voodoo at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And then at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, we have Dwayne Autry to talk about his signing with the Colorado Spartans. So really full day of content for everybody, even though it's a Sunday, and I'm sure you guys are watching football. So if you got a break in between your games, tune in with us. We appreciate all your time and support. And definitely thank you so much, Kevin. Wish you the best of the luck in your next opportunity, and we definitely will have to get you back on. If not, right when you sign your next contract, hopefully sometime during the season to check in with you.
Oh, yeah. Definitely appreciate you, Sam. Keep doing your thing, man.
Absolutely.
Get tuned in.
Yeah, Homer led the league in tackles with 85. The deep ball for Darius Prince, and Philadelphia's on the board first.
On the draw, this is Grayson Allen. And Allen weaving his way all the way down to the 22. 10-yard line, 5. Mayfield, Dancy, all around. Throw it as far as he can throw it. Jump ball coming. Crazy stuff. Not this time.
And you want to be a wide receiver, you're going to have to take a little bit of a hit like that as Brown got him in that shoulder. But watch. Those are teeth.
Do we have a dentist on staff here?